Thank you so much, Madam Toastmaster General, ma'am. Fellow Toastmasters, most welcome guests. The unexamined path is not worth walking. This is a paraphrase of a quote by Socrates, and I like it so much that I am actually going to repeat it, even though it's very hard for me to pronounce. The unexamined path is not worth walking. I do tend to reflect on things which happen to me, things I do. That's why this quote actually goes directly into my heart, directly into my head. And I'm happy to use it as a guidance as I reflect on the learning path I've just completed. As I reflect on it, I'm going to be very selfish. It will be self-reflection, and it will be partitioned into three parts. First, it will be a self-feedback on what I did well, a self-feed-forward on what I think I should be doing differently next time I walk along a learning path and pathways, and I will finish with a challenge. You probably noticed two things. First, that I'm looking at this reflection through the lenses of Toastmasters evaluation that we are now using, what you excel at, what needs some improvement, and what you can challenge yourself with. That wasn't mentioned directly, but you now see what I meant by it. It will be a selfish reflection. So the question remains, why would you care? When we dress ourselves in the morning, we don't look into the mirror seeking a reflection for somebody else, just ourselves. I think you will find some similarities in what you will hear today from me and what you experience in your journey along a Toastmasters learning path. But an important thing is the challenge I found for myself is a shared challenge. And I would want to share it with you, not only today, but also in the future. I will start with the self-feedback, what I think went well. First of all, this learning path that I just completed was very doable. It contained 10 or 11 short speeches, several projects, as for example, give an evaluation to another speaker, or I also did the active listening project, which meant that I was a table topic master and I reflected on the responses I got to my messages. 10, 11 speeches, 3 or 4 extra projects, it was very doable. I also think that I walked this path in a very diverse manner. I'm a member of 4 clubs. This is a privilege, a burden. And I always remember how Arnie called himself as a Toastmaster junkie. And that's how I feel, and how I think about myself. But being a member of 4 Toastmasters club allowed me to present my speeches to very diverse audiences. 10 or 11 or 12 speeches from 16 different evaluators. This, I think, was a huge benefit of this multi-membership of mine. The diversity also included the diversity of different projects. Not only I was giving speeches, I've done several projects, leadership projects, which culminated actually in being a leader in a volunteer organization, in a club, which I will mention later, a little bit later, but I will still keep the club unnamed. And so it was doable, it was diverse, and it was also well documented. So I actually think I praise myself for doing it. It was a necessity because when you're a member of several clubs and you finish a level and you want your DPE to confirm it, you need to sort of prove or at least to report which clubs you have given the speeches to, especially when some of these clubs do not use Indian speak. So I was using an Excel spreadsheet. I have documented all my speeches, the dates, when I gave them, the place where I gave them, and the evaluator who gave me the written and oral evaluation. You may not need to do it because EasySpeak does it for you. You can always find it, the summary of all your speeches, the dates, the titles, the introductions you presented, and the evaluator who gave you the evaluation in the EasySpeak. Doable, well documented, and diverse. That's what I did well. Before I move forward to what I need to do differently, I want to tell you something about myself, which you may or may not know. I tend to actually get into my cocoon when I walk or when I do something. I'm really very inattentive to details. When I was listening to Caroline's introduction today, a humorous remark, I actually thought that I may have walked in the four-door monument region. I may have met Caroline running there with her dog next to her, and I may have missed her. Because when I walk with friends, and I either focus on what we are talking about, or I very much concentrate on what's going on in my head. I will pay no attention to any ephemeral details, like a bird passing by, or some folks running there, but also to permanent features, landmarks. I may walk the same path and don't even notice what to the right or to the left of me. And when I was reflecting on my path, which I just completed, I realized this happened to me again. Ursula told you what path I have completed. It was strategic relationship. And I realized I never ever paid attention what it was about. I chosen this path because it was my next path after I already completed presentation mastery and engaging humor path. So it was just the next on the list. I didn't care what it was about. And I never ever gave a thought, a small thought of why it's called strategic relationships, what I'm supposed to learn from this path. I was just walking like I walk in the four-door National Monument region, thinking about something about myself or what I was talking about with my friends. And I'm sure that Anu noticed that in his evaluation that I should have opened this by sharing with you what the strategic relationships learning path was about. Mm-hmm. And it turns out I only read it when I was preparing this speech. This path was supposed to help me build my skills as a leader in communication. That the project on this path focused on understanding diversity, building personal and professional connections with a variety of people, and developing a public relations strategy. Communicating well interpersonally and as a public speaker is emphasized in each project. The path culminates in a project to apply your skills as a leader in your volunteer organization. But what's interesting is that I had no idea about this. But I've done all this. I've done all the projects. I worked on the public relations strategies. I worked on developing connections, social connections, socializing with people in different settings. I gave a speech about myself as a social caterpillar. And I was building this connection. I was actually understanding the diversity. And again, it was not very deliberate, just how it worked. So the path was very well designed to help me reach the goal of the path, even without paying the attention. It's just like the way I walk in the four-door. I know where I start and I know where I am, and I don't care about the path that leads me there. And it did culminate in me being a leader in one of the clubs. I was a coach for that club, and then I joined the club and was a part of the executive committee for a few years. And at the end, thanks to some projects I performed in this during my journey in the strategic relationship spots, I was able to understand that my strategy as a leader of this club was a complete failure, and I was able to reframe it, and I'm actually very optimistic about the future. So as I look forward to my next path, and I don't know yet which path it will be, I'm going to be much more mindful in choosing it and actually getting myself familiarizing myself with the final goal which that path will bring me to. I'm going to incorporate in my Toastmaster practice 3 main principles, and I invite you to do the same. I'm going to plan, I'm going to pay attention as I walk along the path, and I'm going to share this path with you before it's time to reflect on the path, and it's a bit too late already. One thing I learned in Toastmasters, and it's a relatively recent discovery for me, is that the Toastmaster Club is something which is called a community of practice. We get together because we have a common goal or a common cause. We all are interested in becoming better communicator, either in our personal life or in our professional life. And we practice together. And I think it's very important to do it in a very mindful and deliberate way. I'm going to do it myself. I will share probably with you the main ideas how to do it in my first speech during my next path, and I invite you to join me in this journey. Back to you, Ursula.